On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick return after completing construction on their new technological tear at SWTS HQ. While the Star Wars is light, the dudes are prepared to get down with some updates on the Daisy Ridley-led Star Wars sequel, and some thoughts from Pedro P. on Bo-Katan taking the lead in Mando S3. With light content week, you never know what dumb threads they'll spin, so join in and become a bit more stupid today. Of course, the show will end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now everybody, look at everybody, at least Devin and Linda and Zavu, aka 1-6 shooter, Trevor.
There he is.
He's here, he's checking in. I'm sure he's got a toy show to do later today, but we love that he's here supporting the scoundrels of the New Republic. All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Hopefully you can hear us, see us. It's been a week, so like I was telling Nick, anytime we leave for an extended period of time, essentially more than 7 days, I tend to forget everything that we usually have to do for this stupid little show, but we'll try to get there. I think you can see us. I think you can hear us, and that's really all that matters. So come one, come all. The Star Wars Time Show is back in business. If you're wondering why we weren't here last week, first and foremost, crickets, like Star Wars World. I don't know, Nick. It's like I haven't felt it be this kind of stagnant in years, to be honest with you. It's weird. It's like this summer, it just, once Mando ended, that was pretty much it. And they're saying, hey, just wait, bide your time until Ahsoka towards the end of August.
I think that's a smart thing. I think that it's good that they're letting it rest a little bit. This is just my opinion. I'm glad they're letting it sit and rest a little bit because in situations like this where there's no show and there's like no real big promo to do for like other upcoming stuff, just like let people build anticipation in their own minds. Because if you're like putting out too much stuff to like tease everything, then people start to get like they'll get like a little antsy. They'll start to get like over anxious and start to build narratives in their head. And now you just want to let them chill, just let them, you know what? That's settle in.
That's a healthy way to approach it, Nick, and not unexpected from you because you are a fairly mentally healthy individual, much more so than myself. But I will tell you, I think I agree with you. I do kind of like that. Get a breather. Let's kind of speculate, fan guess at stuff. But I have noticed, and I don't know if this is just Disney Star Wars thing or post TLJ, but it does seem, Nick, like the longer we go without official information, the dumber the fandom and the clickbaiters get. And we're going to talk about one of their little ploys they did last week that was kind of silly. But I just want to point it out to everyone, like how fucking stupid these people are and why those of you that listen to them and believe them and follow them may also be STOOPID. All right?
Yeah, I because like I disconnect pretty hard. I mean, like right now, there's nothing to disconnect from, as you were saying, but like after the show, like I take like a concerted effort to like not look at anything Star Wars related because like there's just like I'm like I just can't do it. I can't like be in it every day. It wears me out.
But I fall on those grenades for you, my friend. That's my role here at the Star Wars Time Show, to just eat all the shit that the fandom puts out so we can talk about it on the next show. Yeah, and you can get more upset with Star Wars and the fans that tend to flock towards it.
Yeah. So I mean, and then when I saw you, I saw you drop something in, like our cast topics chat in the Slack, and I was like, oh well, this is like clearly like either like a joke site or it's just like some random bullshit.
It gets even better. It's some
That's
nefarious actors we've talked about before, the clickbaiters, the zeros of the world. This one wasn't zero, but it is a supposed Star Wars insider we've talked about and ridiculed before in the name of Doomcock. Do you remember Doomcock, Nick? Doomcock is back, and we'll get there. But Doomcock has some interesting insights about the Acolyte series, and like I said, this is a later topic. But I honestly think, Nick, the big hubbub last week around the Acolyte and why a lot of this clickbait started to pop up was the fact that I think it was revealed that a transgender person is in the show. And naturally, when the fandom or the idiots that watch Fox News hear that, they tend to react wildly and very childlike. And I think that's where a lot of this Acolyte stuff is coming from. But we'll get there. Before that, we got to talk all things not Star Wars, right? Because there isn't much Star Wars to talk, so we're going to kind of stretch things out a little bit, get into some pop culture. We weren't here last week. I wanted to give you a fresh take on The Flash. Missed it. Same with Elemental. But yeah, hey, welcome. We got props in there. And look at this. The intern showed up for the first time, and it feels like a decade. We may need to rescind his credentials, but they're all a bit flabbergasted by my appearance. And if you're not used to the baby face look, surprise! I can go from looking like I'm half dead to like 10 years old. So I like to shave the face. Nick, what about you? Do you ever do a clean shave throughout the year, or are you mostly trimming and buzzing?
Yeah, no, just beard trims. I think the last time that I was completely clean shaven was 2015. Was 2015 when I started my first job in Austin, and then after that I have had a beard.
That's legit. That's legit. I wonder what your skin's looking like under there, because I've only had a long beard since May, and I just shaved the stash. I'm like, what the fuck is going on under here? I got like bumps and stuff. It could be a form of herpes, AIDS, COVID-19, you don't know, but you never know what you're going to find under that turf if you haven't shaved in a while. I like to skin my face at least once a year to kind of get a fresh start, because I don't know about you. I see you're starting to get your whites. I'll tell you what, brother, when the whites come in, they turn into like bristles, like Brillo pads. and sometimes it's like, all right, let's whack those down and restart. But yeah, no beard, no facial hair. So you got young, sexy Matt today. Still short and a little fat, but definitely looking a little younger. Trevor hit onto this. I think he's commenting on the Acolyte stuff. OMG, the consternation over her remarks is ridiculous. Totally misunderstood. You remember that, Nick? I told you they were freaking out because she's like, George Lucas essentially shouldn't be the only one that controls Star Wars back in 2019. I'm like, yeah, well, how's that an inflammatory statement? The guy fucking sold it.
He literally sold it.
Like 2014.
He didn't want to be the only one
exactly.
in charge of Star Wars.
And even then, he stopped telling stories outside of the Clone Wars and Star Wars Underground, which never saw the light of day. But last week, I do think Trevor's right. I think it's a continuation of that report. And then, like I said, I do think the stuff... Nick, the timestamps are almost identical to when they announced this Abigail Thorne person was going to be in the Acolyte. It's like, oh, they just announced a transgender. It's super woke. It already has a transgender showrunner. So let's go ahead and pile on here. Trevor said she was saying that he knew to hire other people to do things he couldn't. And that's a true statement. There's a reason George did not direct Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Because
it's the reason why those movies are far better than the ones that he did direct.
You gotta go. I think they came out a year or two ago. There's the official BTS on Disney Plus, but there's another good one that Vice did. It was like 6 short episodes. I think they got with Marsha Lucas in there, or Mary, whatever his first wife was, and it was pretty legit in showing you what George struggled with. How he kind of left ILM hanging, like, hey guys, you gotta fucking pick up the slack. It's all on you if we don't get this. So whatever, we'll talk about more on Leslie and all that stupid shit later. But let's get into some other stupid shit, and that's the Flash. And let me kind of tiptoe around this, because the Flash is a very odd movie. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm not gonna say it's good. It's interesting. It's actually a movie I think everyone should go see, just because of how fucking poor some of it is and how fun some of it is. But if you've heard anything about the Flash, I guarantee the one thing you've heard, Nick, is the CGI is fucking bootleg, like 1980s.
I did see something about that, and then I also saw that the director was like, that is intentional. It's supposed to be bad.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I don't know what to think.
Hey, if that was his intent, Muschietti, or however you say his name, fucking nailed it. Because, Nick, there are scenes where you're looking at the CG, and it's full CG of the fucking people that are acting in the show. It's not like they're trying to pull in, Ben Affleck or Christopher Reeves and shit, although he does, spoiler alert, he shows up fully CG too. But Nick, they're using like fully CG models of Ezra, the actors that play his parents, and you're just going like, what?
Yeah, like, why?
And Nick, it doesn't even look good. It doesn't even look like 1999 Jar Jar Binks quality. It looks, and I'm going to steal this from Connor because I see him in the chat right now, and I read his dissertation on this movie, and he's spot on. Nick, the CG looks as bad, if not worse, than what they did to The Rock and the Scorpion King. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's the quality of this CG when they fully render human characters that are acting in the movie. They could have just fucking shot them and kind of ghosted the images in this whatever the time traveling Speed Force cyclone shit. It is wild. And there are other like a wonky CG things. Ezra, I don't know what you think about them, but knowing all the shit that he went through, it is hard to look at the guy and kind of get past his real his real world ordeals. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, sometimes he shines. Sometimes he's so fucking nauseating and grating. It's just like, is he even trying? Were these pickups? Did someone hold a gun to his head to film these scenes? Like it just feels like vapid. But on the other hand, Supergirl's kind of great. Michael Keaton's Batman is fucking tits. Like tits. It's everything a little kid that grew up with 89 Batman would want to see this character in his older years and what he's doing with his life and kind of how he goes out and chooses to help. I mean, some of it's neat. Some of the cameos, even as bad as they look, it's like, oh, holy shit, they went there. Like, Nick fucking Cage, Superman, bro. Like, they went there.
Nice.
So I kind of dig some of the ideas. Absolutely do not dig the execution. I mean, it was just, but does it surprise anyone? The last movie, the DCEU, it's not like any of those films really fucking stood out outside of maybe Man of Steel. The first Wonder Woman, maybe. Guns, Suicide Squad, maybe. But listen, it's a spectacle, and that's why I recommend viewing it. I don't even think you'll feel like you wasted your money. It's almost like it's a pop culture event for this summer. Okay, so that's the Flash.
Is it an event if it has like just completely bombed at the box office though?
That's why though. Like that's why you want to go see it. You want to go see why it did worse than Black Adam. Like it didn't even do better than Black Adam in its opening weekend. And it has like the fucking top tier Justice League DC characters in it. That's why you need to see it. I'd say it's a solid 6.
I'll definitely consider watching it when it comes to Max. When it comes to HBO Max, I'm just off of DC. Like until the first the first movie that James Gunn completely developed himself comes out, I'm just off of it because, like you said, I mean, this is the DC DCEU now, as they've dubbed it, like the extended or the DC expanded universe, which means that like everything that you've seen in DC movies now up to this point is no longer canon, similar to the way that like when Star Wars was bought by Disney, they put all of the old expanded universe into Legends. Same thing with DC. So like I know that like if it's canon or not really doesn't make a difference. A movie is a movie, but like I know like I just like all of the shit in the DCEU was terrible. It was all bad. Like Wonder Woman was passable to the point where they're like, oh my God, we got something. And then Wonder Woman 1980 whatever came out and that was awful. Aquaman was relatively entertaining. And then I guess you could argue that the first Man of Steel movie was the one that like kind of kicked it off and wasn't bad. But like,
it never came together. Yeah, it never came together.
Like as a whole, the DCEU and like, look, you know, people always point to like, well, if Snyder, like Snyder was the leader of all that shit before everything went down with Justice League, and it was all dog shit. It was all terrible.
Yeah,
like, Batman versus Superman was one of the worst movies that I've ever seen.
That was the problem. Well, two things happened to Snyder. I don't know why you go right to BVS after introducing Man of Steel. You should have let Superman breathe a little bit, give him another movie, actually kind of set up the tension between those two characters. The other thing out of his control, his daughter committed suicide like mid Justice League, and
I remember that.
Obviously, I mean, what the guy just fucking broke to pieces as he should. I mean, his wife was involved in the movie too. That's when they kind of exited, and then Whedon came in, and we all know he was upsetting people, being racist allegedly, and yeah. So I mean, it just and it's always bothered me because let's be real, DC started superheroes. I mean, Superman is the first fucking comic book character. Batman was around before all these Marvel copies. I mean, I'm a fan of Marvel, big fan, but if you really analyze it, all their characters are copies of the big DC characters. It's straight up. Marvel has a parallel character for every DC main. I mean, let's be real. I mean, how do you get better than fucking Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman? The Justice League.
I don't know. You see, like that's what I think though. That like Superman's a terrible character. I will go to my grave saying this. Like Superman's.
How dare you? That's because you were too young to fall in love with Christopher Reeves. I will never let someone speak badly about Superman.
I watched the Reeves stuff. Like I've seen the Reeves movies, and like two of them were good. Like,
oh yeah, well, I mean, we all agree on that, Nick. I mean, Superman gets a little goofy. The Richard Pryor one, you can almost be like, oh, okay, but yeah, Superman 4 is pretty but like shit.
Superman's a character that was intentionally built to like with so few flaws that it's hard for anybody to relate to him. Like at least with like some of the like with a lot of like the Marvel equivalents, it's easier for like a general audience to like relate to characters. And I think that the problem with Superman is that like his weakness is so stupid and yet so specific that like you had like there's no other way to get around it. Like you have like anybody who's fighting him has to have kryptonite, and if they don't, then it's not a fight. Or they have to be from Krypton, and if they aren't, then it's not a fight. So like his weaknesses are too hyper specific, and like even in terms of like his emotional weakness is one person, like
Lois.
And I just think that like when that's all you have to work off of, whether it's like, well, it has to be kryptonite or it has to be Lois, then your character development, the story that you tell becomes so fucking predictable that it's like, well, who's got the kryptonite this episode and who kidnaps Lois? Like that's just what it comes down to.
Let me try to, while you're on this, let me try to kind of spin this back into Star Wars. Is there a Star Wars character, in your opinion, Nick, that is equivalent to Superman?
It's equivalent to Superman.
Like what you're saying, in terms of pretty much has plot armor and there's really not much you can do with them narratively.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because at this point, like all of your old OT main characters are dead, so you can't say like, well, this person's got plot armor, or this person can't die, or something like that, because they're all toast.
Force Ghost.
Yeah,
Can we
I
say
mean, like,
Force ghosts are now that they can interact with the living? Both Yoda and Luke showed us in the sequels.
and here's the thing: is like I think it's hard too because I think that like you could say a lot about what Lucas did in terms of his like direction and stuff like that. He did a really good job of like building in realistic and relatable flaws for all of his characters.
I mean, you know what?
You know?
I guess with hindsight, Nick, could we not argue Palpatine kind of became that character?
Palpatine's the closest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. Palpatine's definitely the closest one that has like plot armor or has like this like unrealistic like depiction of like his character flaws and stuff like that. Like his biggest character flaws is hubris, is like his unending desire for power and thinking that nobody, like no one entity or one person can take him down is obviously his fatal flaw. That
he essentially discounted his granddaughter, right? He didn't think Rey had it in her to stop him, even after he sucked her dyad goo from her system.
Yeah. So
what about Kung Fu here? He's saying the old Sith, like Nihilus, Bane, Traya.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're gonna go, I mean, like that's not true because they all got fucking roasted too. Like I don't, and they're not canon. So like, are we doing like canon versus non-canon and everything like that?
It's wide open. That's why I threw it to you because you have a deeper breadth of the non-canon people. Yeah. I think.
I don't think that any of them are as bad as Superman. Like I really don't because like. They all have like, I mean, in another thing too is like it's so hard to tell because there's not as much content behind like specifically for the Old Republic like Sith Lord Sith from KOTOR 2 like Kreia and Nihilus and Scion. Like you really had so little content behind them that there wasn't enough to like truly build a narrative around their characters.
Scion, he's a guy that essentially thrived on pain and almost dying, right? Like he was like almost stayed in a constant state of almost dead, right?
Yeah, like his body was like, I mean, technically his body was decomposed and was held together purely by like hate and anger and dark side of the Force.
I gotta play that game again. When's the last time you've done KOTOR 2, if ever?
I've played all of KOTOR 2 when it initially released, but I haven't done like a full playthrough of it.
It never
for a while
quite snagged me like the original KOTOR, which we've both played multiple times, multiple platforms. But
so I mean, truly, Palpatine is the closest one. You could argue that Revan is kind of getting to that point too, because it's like, well, this was a guy who was a Jedi, goes off, falls to the dark side, comes back to being a Jedi, and if you follow the threads through like Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO game, like then he comes back again, and he's not a Jedi or a Sith, and then you beat him in that game, in like the initial release of that game. There's like a dungeon where he's the boss, and then you kill him again, and then he fucking comes back and there's a whole other expansion about him. And it's like, I didn't die last time. Now I'm coming back
that's definitely
to like
sounding
take over the galaxy.
OP. Here's a silly one, but there's merit to it. R2-D2. Think about all the times he saves the day. I mean, we've talked about this. Without R2-D2, the Skywalker line doesn't even begin because Padme gets wiped out in the Trade Federation blockade, and he's saved Luke a few times. He's saved Anakin a few times. I mean, come on, and he can't. He pretty much can't
like
die.
A constant. He's definitely like a constant, like. Plot device that's used to be like, we have to get out of like a weird situation. Yeah. Well, let's just let R2
do it. He'll shoot a lightsaber out of his head. Perfect timing.
So maybe those are the two. Maybe it's like Revan.
I love that R2 has been
deemed
deemed OP Superman. Like, yes, I dig it.
So I mean, like Superman's just never been interesting to me because it's like every time you watch it, it's like, somebody like, Batman has kryptonite somehow and is kicking his ass. Go figure. Or somebody's got Lois Lane again.
See, I don't know. I do think it's a product of our age difference because a lot of us 70s, 80s kids, I think we were just enamored and blown away by Reeves. And when you're that little, a hero's a hero, and you're drawn to it. I mean, I had the tights, the undies, the cape. I mean, he was my guy. I can remember he spoke at my college graduation, and that was like one of the coolest fucking things in my life. And
that's awesome.
It was the Broken Reeves, and I think he died like a year later, but I've always loved the guy, and I think that's where a lot of my Superman love is rooted in, no doubt about it. You definitely have great points on the character, and it's just how much can you really do with someone that's a god?
And I mean, like he's the first superhero ever created. So like when he was being developed and stuff, they were like, well, let's just make Man of Steel, Invincible Man, can do all of this stuff,
leaping
like
buildings,
something
running
to truly
faster
aspire
than bullets
to,
and shit.
Yeah, like you didn't think, like, nobody could have imagined back when Superman was being developed that, like, oh yeah, well, like, he needs to have more flaws than this, because they were just like, well, this is going to stay comic book material forever. Like, they figured they would write, who knows, they figured they might write one fucking comic and people hated it and they would never write it again. Like, they didn't know what it would become. But like, I think that DC did a much better job with Batman in terms of, like, because he is a human and because he is just like a man, he's much more relatable in terms of, like, people watching and intaking his content, because you're like, well, he's a guy just like me. And he has a lot more relatable flaws, like his inability to cope with the death of his parents, his inability to form relationships with people around him because he has this veneer and this wall up around him. A lot of people who do struggle with, like self-esteem issues, or people who do struggle with letting people in, can like look at Batman and relate to that. And then it also, like, the vigilante aspect of it makes it feel like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Like, this guy is out there, defending his city and protecting the people of Gotham with no more than just, like, I mean, back in the day,
brains and
like,
gadgets, man, brains and gadgets, detective skills.
And that's it. Like, that was before he had, like, suits made out of carbon fiber steel that cost millions of dollars and shit like that. It was a dude in a rubber suit running around with a cape on, just beating people up. Like, it was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Batman, Bruce Wayne, hands down the most relatable, big time superhero across DC and Marvel. I mean, maybe even Iron Man isn't as relatable as Bruce, even though they're both rich as fuck. But Iron Man never really struggled, right? I mean,
yeah. Like Iron Man was,
he had some family
like,
problems via the MCU. I don't know if that also came from the comics, but it was nothing like Bruce. I mean, Iron Man at least made it into his 20s college years before his parents were whacked by the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, but I think that in general, like, first to market's not best to market in most of the situations. Like, you can go back and look at a lot of the history of, like, marketplace, like, injection, and like when products come on the market, more often than not, the first ones on the market aren't the best ones unless they really, really have an edge on everybody else. And like, I think that's just what happened with DC. It's like they were first on the market for sure. Like you said, first ones there with superhero comic books, detective comics, and stuff like that. But like, they're not the best because Marvel and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all of the people who wrote for Marvel and its inception were able to, like, look at DC and say, like, well, this is what's wrong with it. It's like, your heroes,
let's fix that character a little bit, and we'll just call him him like, Rat Man instead. Rat Man and Loose Bane.
So
I got two for the peanut gallery is being quite helpful today. I like these. Kung Fu, Punisher greater than Batman. What say you? Similar type of characters, a little more hardcore on Punisher's side, but no superpowers, just a regular dude with a little bit of
he's a
bit of
PTSD. I think that what makes, I mean, it's two very different characters, right? Like, even though they are similar in terms of the way that they function, I think they're two very different characters because of how because of their background and how they were
Frank's
raised.
Not a playboy. He's not going to like a gala anywhere and wearing a black tie suit.
But I will say that in terms of just like, if there's a problem in front of me and I need somebody to like figure it out, I'm gonna give it to Batman, because Batman's a little bit more of a balance between brains and brawn than than Punisher is. Punisher is like,
let's fuck
can
some
I
shit
shoot
up.
it?
Yeah.
Or beat it up with my hands? If I can't, then it's really kind of out of my wheelhouse.
No, you're right. Like if I needed someone to like solve a crime, I'm going Batman. If I needed someone to just go smash some skulls, I'm going Punisher. Like all we're doing is lining motherfuckers up on the curb and doing the American History X stomp. Like claga, cla, cla, cla. These are normal thoughts, people. You guys have them too, don't you?
Nope. That I think that Batman is a better actual, like I would call it like hero.
All right.
And Punisher is a much better
badass killer. Yeah, he's sweet at killing.
Much better.
Oh yeah, Batman doesn't really like to do that, so that's an easy win for Frank.
He doesn't like to kill.
All right, and then we'll move on after this one, but Trevor's got a decent one too. I want to hear your take. Trevor says, I think Peter Parker Spider-Man is the most relatable. What do you think?
Okay. I think that's a good...
Because he's like a teen, you know, a little not quite formed. Like with Peter Parker Spider-Man, like you get to grow with him, which I think is something that you really didn't get to experience with a lot of other heroes at that time, or even like other heroes just now. And I think that like what's being done with a lot of these other like origin stories and stuff like that, Disney Plus Marvel shows like Miss Marvel or something like that, is like you do get the opportunity now to grow with the hero. So I do think that like Peter Parker Spider-Man is unique in the way that like you can read it or you can watch it as a kid and be like, man, that's exactly what I would do. Like if I was in Peter Parker's shoes, like I would do that exact same thing. When I saw the first Spider-Man movie, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Toby,
I was like, I would do that exact same shit. Like that, like this is how I would react if I like found out that I had like spider powers.
Yeah, he lines up. I mean, outside of the fact that he's basically a mutant, I mean, yeah, pretty relatable dude, at least from his Peter side for sure.
And like, and I think that like this is the last thing we'll say on, like I'll say on the Marvel stuff, and then we can kick past it. But like, I think that's also why there's just been like a general kind of like funkiness in terms of Marvel Phase 4 and like the phases moving forward, specifically after Endgame, is because this was something that I heard on another podcast. If you've ever like listened to the rewatchables,
just say you made it up. Just say you made it up.
Yeah, I made it up. But it's all about stakes. It's all about like when like, you know, when Spider-Man first came out, when Iron Man first came out, when a lot of like Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2 stuff was happening, the stakes were all very relatable. Like Iron Man's first movie is like he gets captured by Middle Eastern terrorists and has to break his way out. Like that's like a very relatable thing, especially at that time.
Yeah, 2008, we were knee deep into, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan. So
yeah, and then like even like, you know, like early Spider-Man, it's all very localized problems. You know, like Spider-Man is a hero for the city of New York. Iron Man was fighting for, you know, the city that he lived in, fighting to get himself out of, you know, terrorist captivity. And then from there it's basically kind of like, and they show this in a montage, but he's fighting problems that we're all familiar with. And then at the end of it, he's fighting his own best friend at the time, Obadiah Stane. Spider-Man's the same way, where it's like he ends up fighting his dad, like his best friend's dad in the movies. And then he has to fight Hobgoblin, who was his best friend. Like, so the stakes are very relatable to what we as non-superheroes can really understand. And now in Marvel, when you watch fucking Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you're looking at this shit and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like what are the stakes of this?
Like you never had to worry about interdimensional octopi in your city down there in the bayou,
exactly.
Dude.
The stakes are so outsized that it's like we can't relate to it.
The multiverse has definitely opened up a can of worms. And hey, you're right. I mean, Phase 4 is like, it shouldn't even exist. Like it's a lost phase. Phase 5, I guess, is sort of starting on the right foot. I mean, but Guardians 3 doesn't really latch into any of the bigger stuff they're trying to do with Kang. And Kang gets his kind of his debut in Ant-Man, which is scatterbrained as fuck. So they are right. It is a shame the MCU has not been able to recapture that magic of, ooh, what's going to happen next? Oh, Stinger, I can't wait. Ooh, here it comes, the 2-part event, Infinity War, Endgame, yay! I don't see that anywhere through their roadmap at this point in time. And
it's like even with it, like Infinity War and Endgame, like even though the stakes had gotten large, the way that they made it personal, like personal to you as the viewer, is like, well, they just snapped your relatives out. Like your family could be gone. Like half of the Earth's population is just missing. Like they're just gone because of this one intergalactic terror in Thanos that had, done this thing with the Infinity Stone. So even though like they expanded beyond the immediacy of Earth to like tell its story, they brought it back to a very localized like problem in something that like everybody could resonate with by doing the snap and by like taking away people's families and taking away people's loved ones and stuff like that. And I think with Phase 4, they just couldn't do that anymore. Like they just didn't have a storyline that they could
lost.
Like bring down to earth anymore.
I don't think Feige or anyone's going to get that shit back on track. But listen, I'll still be there day one. Speaking of movies that probably aren't going to be as good as they should or we want them to, I'll be seeing Dial of Destiny probably Thursday. So. Oh
yeah, I mean that's one that I'm going to go see. I haven't been to a movie in a while. But that's one that I'm gonna go see in the movies,
you gotta get your sub back on, man. See, having AMC A+, it does keep me at least once a week, definitely 2 times a month. I did not make it out last week because there really wasn't anything I need to see, but this week looking for Dial. All right, good stuff there on the comic book front. Didn't expect that, but I love it. I love it. Real quick before we get into some Star Wars on the Star Wars Time Show, because there's always time for Star Wars Time, or The Flash, or The Marvel, or Phase 4, or Phase 5, or in this case, Elemental. Okay? Sadly, another movie that flopped. This is a Pixar flick, Nick. I don't know if you and Taylor checked it out. I'll tell you what, it's pretty damn good. It's another cheeky way that Pixar has figured out how to kind of tackle a huge social issue. In this case, I would say immigration and race relations in a kid-friendly cartoon that kind of teaches them how fucked up life is going to get the older they become without it kind of depressing them and making them go, oh shit, I don't want to go out into the big wide world if this is how people treat each other. I dug it. It is, like I said, it's a good, I don't know if you'd call it a metaphor, probably an allegory, like I said, mostly on immigration and sometimes how immigrants are looked at and sometimes how immigrants kind of act when they are in a new space. And but more importantly, I do really think the other thing is, you don't always have to be with your own kind. Different types of people are okay. It's okay when different groups actually come together and potentially fall in love and have relationships and learn new things about different cultures. So I dug it, but from what I was reading, it got absolutely leveled at the box office. So I don't think Pixar has been doing so hot. I know some people are probably go woke, go broke. Those are the Al-Qaedas of the world, but it's good. Like if you want your kid to grow up and not like MAGA and stuff like that, show them stuff like this. It's okay. It's not grooming. I can promise you that. It's just raising good people and getting good messages out there that most humans should be on board with. But for some reason, it seems like from 2015 on, we are trying to go back into the dark ages, at least over here in the States. So there you go. Elemental, big fan. I'd give it an 8 if you really wanted a review score, Nick. I know you like those.
Yeah, I mean, I will probably see it when it comes to
Disney Plus.
To Disney.
Yeah, it would be a little date movie for Taylor and you. You guys, I think you'll enjoy it for sure.
I think that I think now we just have to understand, or like, I think that like the industry needs to understand like what theaters are for now. And I think that like, I don't know if it's still just like leftover. like I don't personally think it's leftover anxiety from like COVID times and stuff anymore. I think people are largely over that.
It's the training we all went through, and now that people know, like, fuck, I can wait maybe 10 days and just buy a new movie. I'm gonna do that, especially families. Like, or like, why take everyone for $20 a head when you can buy it for $20 and have it for life? I mean, Nick, I think Fast X was on, Vudu, Amazon, Apple TV, whatever, 10 days after it hit theaters. The Disney movies, I mean, sometimes they hold them a little bit longer, but you're looking at 45 to 60 days. You're going to be getting those on Disney Plus. So you're not wrong. I mean, I'm a cinema buff. If cinemas go away, it'll be very, very sad. But it's almost like they're only for the big fucking tentpole shit these days. And even there, like The Flash got hammered. But some of the big tentpoles still destroy. I mean, look what Maverick did last year. I have a feeling Indies is going to have a huge weekend.
Indies gonna do well. I think it's like it's brand, like right now it's brands. Like that's what pops off in theaters. It's like is there a brand behind it? Like Indiana Jones is a brand,
right?
Like,
which is
Top Gun
kind of sad though, right? I mean, you're not going to get.
Yeah, no, it is.
You're probably not going to get as many Risk type of movies or new IP type of stuff in the theaters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a little bit last time we were on too, is that like at this point, nobody makes $50 million movies anymore. The only people that make 50 million, even less than that, like $50 million, still a lot of money. I mean, indie movies and stuff like that, get made for less than $1 million. But the only people who really do that anymore are A24, which is who made Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then Blumhouse, which is primarily horror movies, what, dude? Like they did The Purge and shit like that.
I'm glad you brought them up because, I applaud those. What are they? Are they studios or production companies?
I think they're production companies.
But you are right. They do seem to be the ones that are still willing to take risks on new IP. I think it was Blumhouse. They did that. Was it Barbarian last year? That was a fucking crazy horror thriller. What's A24? I mean, like you said, everything everywhere. I mean, look right there. That's like proof enough alone.
Like if you've seen Beef on Netflix, Beef was made by A24. And there's like a bunch of. I think they did. Did they do Midsummer?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Like.
I want to watch that again.
They did Midsummer. They did Hereditary, Uncut Gems,
there you go.
Moonlight. Like they did a shitload.
Those are all good movies. All good.
Incredible
all
movies.
Good. I need to see Midsummer again. That movie is fucked up. But I want to see it on Fungus because remember there's a part where I don't know if you ever seen it, but there's a part where before shit gets wild, they eat a few mushrooms, and that just like ratchets up the tension, man. Sends
it into the stratosphere. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like it's just movie theaters are changing. This is something that was probably like talked about a while ago. Is that like movie theaters are going to become are only going to be for like tentpole things? And while like Pixar used to be tentpole like films, like when it was
Toy Stories, Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc., stuff like that. When you had like a franchise out there, then it was like, okay, definitely going to happen. Like, got to go see this in theaters. But like, it's hard to launch a new franchise now. So
true enough.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's definitely sad.
Well, speaking of big franchises that may make it to a theater, we got a little update on Daisy Ridley's Star Wars sequel. It has been confirmed. Not that this really means anything, that they're going to start shooting in April of 2024. And according to this Jeff Snyder guy from the Hot Mic podcast, who has hit, like, let's be real, he's got a lot of these rumors and leaks true about this sequel movie. So I tend to kind of buy into his stuff at this point in time. But he's saying, because we talked before we took our break last week. Oh, by the way, hey, check this out. Check out my new floors. There they are. You see them, everybody? That's what we were doing last week here. Putting in the wood floor. Really opens up the space, as I was telling Nick. The acoustics are amazing. My subwoofer sounds better than ever. And now my camera's fucking twisted. But anyways, let me get back to what I was talking about because I've already forgot. What the fuck was I? What random thread? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
The sequel.
So, before we took our construction break last week at the HQ to build our technological tear, we talked about there's going to be 2 Star Wars movies in 2026 now because Avatar 3 is eating up the 2025 December date, and it makes sense. You're not going to have Avatar and Star Wars compete. Although Iger, he doesn't even want a Star Wars movie to compete with Mary Poppins. So you never really know what's going on over there at Disney. But anyways, we know there's 2 Star Wars movies coming out in 2026. There's going to be a May one and a December one. Well, according to this Snyder guy, the May one is 100% going to be the Daisy Ridley joint. So the fact that it's going to start filming next spring, I don't know. Some people think it's curious. I'm like, well, nah, that's about right. I mean, the sequel trilogy, unlike the prequel trilogy, was on about a 2-year development cycle in terms of shoot, post, movie. You know, before everything blew up, the formula was sequel movie, next year, Star Wars story. Next year, sequel movie. Next year, Star Wars story. Next year, sequel movie, so on and so forth. So I'm not, some people are like, why are they starting so early and this, that? Why not take time to develop the script, which is fucked up because they had to fire Damon and hire Steve. And I'm like, guys, we're talking April 2024 for the shoot.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to get that shit ironed out.
That's like 10 months. Maybe they're worried because of the writer strike and if Steve Knight's allowed to write or not, I don't know. But the reaction to this seemed odd. And the other odd thing, and again, you gotta be careful of what you read and buy into on the internet. But there was a plot synopsis that kind of released in conjunction with this. And if you read the plot synopsis as a normal human, you should go, yeah, this is fucking bullshit. This is either written by an AI or a guy named Matt in his basement, because there's no way a studio puts this quality of copy out. So, Here's the plot synopsis here. Set roughly 15 years after Rey's victory over Palpatine in the end of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the sequel delves into Rey's courageous endeavor to restore the Jedi Order, where she assumes the role of mentor to 2 promising young students, a girl and a boy. As their training progresses, it becomes evident the girl possesses extraordinary abilities destined to emerge as a future leader. Okay? Where would you ever read a plot synopsis like that, like an official one? That's not even a plot synopsis.
It's just fucking just bullshit is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously everybody out there is really kind of chomping at the bit for information about Star Wars movies post TROS. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a long time. So as soon as official sources and official, even as Disney themselves comes out and says hey, the next movie is going to be with Daisy Ridley and it's going to be set after TROS 10 years. Then people are just going to be like, oh, I can put out shit now. I can make up some stuff and make it sound real-ish.
Dude,
I don't know.
I mean, chat could have done better than that. GPT, throw a few dollars at that straight GPT 4.0. It's gonna blow that fucking synopsis out of the pond. It's just you would never get so much detail as in young students, boy and girl better than boy, girl become leader. They don't flow that way. I'll actually, once we get to the Acolyte nonsense, I will read you what a synopsis is from a studio, from a professional copywriter. Although there's not going to be many professional copywriters left because that is a job that is getting eaten up by our AI buddies. It's just I don't know. I mean, that bogus stuff. Just be aware. This is your media literacy segment of the Star Wars Time Show. It's bullshit. The only thing that's legit here is the 15 years after and Rey's trying to restore the order. They at least lifted some stuff from, I think, what Kathy said at Celebration. But outside of that, this is stupid. And I actually would not want to see this movie. I have no interest on Rey just with two, different students and one's more powerful than the other. Like who fucking cares?
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, and here's the thing too, is like, this is so broad that like, is she going to be training Jedi? Possible. Are two of them going to be a male and a female? Possible. Like, it's not like.
Well, the other thing,
so
destined
broad.
to emerge as a future leader just because she's powerful. Like, what Rey's going to age so significantly by the end of this film she can't lead anymore? Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's like
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it honestly is.
Does the
just
girl
like,
kill Rey? Like is she
said,
bad and then becomes the leader of the new dark side? All right, maybe that's a little more exciting, but it's so generic and it's just not a synopsis. So don't worry.
Yeah, no, it's.
And the other thing, even though I did call it New Jedi Order, that absolutely is not the name of the movie. All right, that's just kind of what fans are running with right now. This Snyder guy is saying again, he does seem to have a legit source that's New Jedi Order is nothing official. All right, so there you go, a little bit of Star Wars mixed into our comic book movie breakdown show today.
Yeah,
sticking with Star Wars. And this is more of a PSA, plus I'm kind of excited. Hopefully it'll give us something to talk about next week if we do a show, which we haven't decided yet. Next week, by the way, over here in the States, it's July 4th on Tuesday, show day. I'll be out at parades watching the little one and probably drinking some beers and trying not to blow off some of my appendages. So we're not going to do a show Tuesday. I'm not sure if we're going to do a show next week or not. Maybe a solo here or there, or if Zavu and Sir Dorkith are still up for it, maybe we'll release Chapter 2 of Scoundrels of the New Republic. We're supposed to record that tomorrow night. So you are going to get some form of Star Wars Time Show content next week, just not sure what type, okay? But definitely not going to have a live stream on July 4th. We're going to take our time off. We're going to drink. We're going to eat. And we're going to light stuff on fire. At least I am. I don't know what they do down in Texas. Maybe shoot guns up in the air and hopefully the bullets don't come down and kill anybody, right?
Like, I mean, it's so hot outside in Texas right now that everybody is trying to stay inside.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like, you guys are essentially melting to death in hell. You're like at the gates of hell. Yeah. What is it, like 12 days now? It's just been death.
It's fucking, like, it's 100 degrees. It's 5 o'clock over here. It is 100 degrees right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, and that's not heat index. That's just
temperature.
Like the temperature.
Yeah, so it probably feels like
it's 100.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably 115, 120.
Yeah, like
does Austin
insanity.
maintain the dry heat, or does it get a little more humid? I'm assuming it's probably even more dry in Austin because it's further down, or no?
Yeah, I mean it's not too humid. But it is relatively dry, but it's not dry like if you were to go out to like West Texas or something like that. That's like super dry heat, but there are like a couple of lakes in Austin, like a couple of smaller.
I did
lakes.
a year and a half in DFW. Really enjoyed it. The people are definitely unique. Texans are a rare breed. There's no doubt about it. The first day I was there, I was driving my car. I had a license plate holder on it that just said Pittsburgh Steelers. It didn't say like "fuck you cowgirls" or anything. A guy at a stoplight gets out of his car, looks at me, looks at my license plate, and then spits at it. And I was like, okay. At the plant I worked in, the first time I walked through the maintenance shop, bunch of maintenance guys, all grizzly, sitting at their tables, waiting for a ticket to come in. You're a Yankee, aren't you? You know what we do to Yankees down here? We hang them up by the flagpole. And I was like, all right, let's fucking go. I mean, I think they were expecting like some mushy person from the north coming down. And you all listen to this show, you know there's not a lot of mush here. I am a short guy. I don't like to say out loud that I buy into the Napoleonic complex at times, but I will fuck you up if you cross me. Like I will make sure you know that regardless of my stature, don't mess with me physically or mentally, because I will try to make you cry with my mind and my sharp tongue, and I will do my best regardless of your side to try and kill you if I have to. So, but it won him over, right? In Texas, like if you don't fucking roll over, they're like, well, fuck yeah, we like this Yankee, and I ended up that's where I hung out with the maintenance guys after a while. But I got to ask, do you have you had to adopt the windshield cover that all Texans almost have to use when you leave your house and park your car in the Texas sun? Do you like put one of those reflector fuckers in your car?
I haven't yet, because up until like once we actually like organize the garage, I'll be able to pull my truck into the garage, so I won't need it. But yeah, I mean, like I have not gotten one yet, but I may need to. You know
what I'm talking about, though. I guarantee you, when you go out, you see more sunscreen covers than not, right? I mean,
there's definitely,
it was a thing. Yeah, when I moved there from the north, I wasn't, quite in the know. And, come February, March, I'm seeing all the cars. You walk out in the parking lots, like people have those tanning reflectors up. You're like, oh, you can't see. You're getting hit by cars, but everyone had those fucking things. Yeah. See, got great content on the Star Wars Time Show. We're talking about fucking windshield covers and their use in Texas. See, you never know. Exactly. You never know what you're going to get here. Okay. Anyways, the PSA deal, and I am excited for this. This is dropping tomorrow on Disney Plus, the 28th, and that is Disney Gallery of the Mandalorian for season 3. Sometimes these are like my favorite aspect of a live action Star Wars show. The trend usually has been we watch it, and then a month or two later we kind of get, all right, this is how we made some of it. Here's some of the insights into why we did this or that or this. For example, the Book of Boba Fett one I think is very insightful for people that were all upset. Like if you just listen to John, he kind of lays out like, yeah, this is why we did this or made him do that and this, that, and the other thing. So I am excited to watch this. Like I said, maybe next week I'll do a solo or something, and I'll just kind of talk about the highlights from the gallery. But that's coming out tomorrow, the 28th. Don't forget to tune in, because if we do any sort of show next week, that's probably what we'll be talking about, because I don't expect, especially with the holiday. Oh, you know what? There will be some Ahsoka stuff to talk about too, which I'll just kind of key you all into right now as we transition into the next segment here. So Nick, this popped up yesterday, but apparently in your old hometown of New Orleans, how's the proper way to say it? New Orleans? I
mean, I say New Orleans. Nolans is what people say that are like, that really have like a deep Cajun or Creole accent.
And you do have some of the, like the Creole twang in your family, right?
Definitely.
I really wish you had it. It's just like, are your parents like lifelong Louisianians?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they are. But, and like my dad, like funny enough, like my dad like grew up in New Orleans, like in the middle of the city and stuff like that. And, he doesn't really have that heavy of an accent. My uncle, on my dad's side does, but like, both of my parents really don't have that heavy of an accent. Obviously, like I'm not really great to say that because I've heard them speak my entire life, so like I don't hear.
Yeah, I mean they're not talking like Bobby Boucher or anything, right? Like, oh look,
my uncle does.
Young Nick coming home now, coming back to the bayou eating some crawfish, right? I mean that's like, oh young nigga boy. But anyway,
so like it's
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's not that bad in my family, but it definitely is more prominent when you're like in the city and stuff like that. You hear people talking.
Okay, so if we did a Cam and Eda reality show, would any of your family members need closed captioning?
I think maybe sometimes my uncle would. My uncle Ted. Like,
is he a gator hunter? So you go out there with the gator hunters and hook their throats and then shoot them in the head with a shotgun. He used to be a roofer, but he definitely, like him and like my dad, like they both used to do like, like they're both big fishermen. When my uncle was growing up, like he would go and like catch crawfish and stuff like that in the crawfish ponds and everything like that. But I don't know if anybody has gone alligator hunting. You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember? I don't know if that show is still airing or what. I'm guessing it was Discovery, but it followed like 2 or 3
Yeah.
famous alligator hunters down there, and those motherfuckers were as bayou as it gets. It's like, holy shit! Like, do you even have running water and electricity? But the way they capture those gators is just so horrific. Like, yeah, I listen, I like animals more than people, but the fact that they'll go out and set huge lines with a hook on it, the gator swallows the hook, gets stuck, like literally gagging on a hook. They come back the next day and just like, oh, there you go, and just shooting it with like a fucking shotgun. Like, where?
And a lot of the times they do that because there's like a population problem in the state with alligators. So like a lot of times you'll get paid to do that. Like
and that's that's kind of the show would follow the gator season, and you got to get your tags. I mean, it is very Bering Sea like, you know. I get it. It's just like, okay, if we need to thin the population, can't we just, you know, drop like a fucking controlled nuke instead of letting these things fucking hang on a hook for 18 hours until some hillbilly comes back and
eat them
blows it away?
Like I've had fried alligator before.
Gator's not bad. I mean,
it's not.
It's on the menu a lot in Texas restaurants for sure. And that's where I had a lot of it. But yeah, I just like, you know, let's figure out a better way to kill these fucking things. Just come through like a lightsaber and chop their heads off. I mean, I get it. They're fucking dinosaurs. They have armor, but choking them out for like 18 hours, like, come on. Anyways, the whole reason we just talked about Nolans is because this weekend, Disney is celebrating the power of joy, whatever the fuck that is, because I have zero joy in my life. But apparently, Nick, is the Essence Festival of Culture something big in New Orleans? Is that like a known thing?
It is.
Okay, got you.
It is. Essence Festival's been around for a long time. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, Essence Festival has always kind of been like a pride festival before like pride, like parades and pride festivals were a thing. It's like a very inclusive, like in the city. It like really like Essence Festival really like takes over downtown New Orleans in a big way, but it is like a celebration of all things culture, especially within the city itself, because New Orleans is like a very culturally rich city when it comes to...
Yeah, I mean, you got people practicing voodoo down there, for Christ's sake. So.
Yeah, like still actively...
I know. I'm not fucking around.
So like it is kind of like a celebration of like the soul and culture of the city of New Orleans, and like the culture of the people of the city of New Orleans, and everything like that. So it really does kind of encapsulate like a lot of different like types of people, a lot of different types of cultures and where people come from and stuff like that. So it is just kind of like,
let's be real. Is it
basically like a celebration of joy?
Is it Mardi Gras too, essentially? I mean, does it get to that level or no?
So, no, not like that. Like there's no like,
floats and tits and beads and shit.
Yeah. Nothing like
Probably
that.
Some
but
tits. I mean, let's be real. I mean, the
more,
tits come out in the summer, so there might be a few titties
at some point. Yeah. But it is definitely more of like a festival than it is kind of like a parade type of.
Well, anyways, Nick, Disney is a major entertainment sponsor of the 2023 Essence Festival of Culture trademark. I like that. It's literally called Essence Festival of Culture trademark. And the reason we care about that, it's not because of Disney's Haunted Mansion or Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's Our Lady in Orange, Star Wars Ahsoka. Apparently, whoever is at this festival, Nick, they're going to get a preview of Ahsoka, or at least something shown. I'm trying to find the exact...
It says the cast will take part in events and panels on Saturday and Sunday that will also include special looks at the new Disney Plus series Star Wars Ahsoka. So yeah, I believe that, I'm not sure if all of it will be streamed on Hulu, but you can see, it says that you can watch along. It says all Hulu subscribers will have the opportunity to join the celebration and catch exclusive virtual only content and highlights from daytime experiences, as well as epic live performances from everybody.
It's not going to be like released on YouTube, which blows.
So if you're a Hulu subscriber, you can catch
Nick, have they made that cutover yet? Where Hulu is now on Disney Plus here in the States, is that done?
I don't think so yet because we still have Hulu and it's not like we still watch stuff on Hulu and it's still the normal
but
Hulu
that's
experience.
coming though, correct? I mean, that's a thing.
It is coming. Okay. Yeah, it is. As far as I know, well, I mean, at least from what we've learned from like members of our chat and stuff like that, like Disney Plus has in Hulu have been combined in other countries.
Yeah. I think in the UK they've had Hulu content since Disney Plus came out. And if you think about it, all the shit we've talked about this year about how these streaming platforms are just eating shit. Why not combine two services? I mean, you can essentially shut down an entire division of your business or the brick and mortar, whatever they need to house the people running Hulu. Fuck them. Bring in the AI. Just drop it onto the Disney Plus servers. Done. And then they'll raise our subscription fee. Just wait.
Exactly.
Like I get an email from Paramount today. They're like, oh, hey, your premium's going up because we're adding Showtime to it. It's like, well, why? I don't fucking want Showtime. I want my Paramount Premium Plus with no fucking commercials.
I just have the essential, I don't have the premium. And mine went up by $1, so mine went from $4.99 to $5.99.
But you're not getting anything new, though, right?
I don't get anything else. It just says it's going to go up $1. No further action is required, and it does not say that I'm getting Showtime.
Yeah, because
so mine's just going up.
Do you remember? Was the premium $9.99 versus $4.99? Right. So yeah, I think mine went up $2, and they added Showtime.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. I need to get one of those apps that just, like, AI's out, uses APIs to figure out all the fucking streamers I'm connected to and really figure out if I should start whacking some of these subs. I'll never do it. I'll talk a big game here, but I guarantee I'm paying just as much, if not more than cable at this point with all the fucking add-ons I've done. I mean, Paramount Plus. Yeah, I had Hulu for a while. I finally canceled that and Spotify, but other stuff I just let linger. I've hardly touched Disney Plus. I didn't even tap in the Secret Invasion last week with all the construction going on here. I haven't even seen the first episode of that. Have you?
I have not, but I do want to see it because I've heard, and like this is probably one of the first pieces of Marvel content that I was like super interested in. I haven't watched it yet, but I did hear that the first episode's got like a pretty big twist in it.
Yeah, it's Sam Jackson, so it can't be that bad. Mace Windu's in it, so let's roll. But anyways, back to this. Just keep your eyes and ears open for this Ahsoka stuff over the weekend. If it's something we can get our hands on, my dumbass will probably eat up some time and at least spit out a short and get us ready for the next week. But I'm hoping it's something fresh and not just repurpose shit from Celebration. That it's like, all right,
that's
neat.
Like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming that it's going to be. Is like, okay, like first public look at what was already seen at Celebration for the closed door stuff. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah. All right. So here we go. The Acolyte stuff. And like I said, Trevor, I believe is... Go ahead.
Just like, before we even get into it, this is all fake.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
This is all fake. None of this is true.
I mean, if you read the title of today's stream, it says Acolyte is not canceled. So we're not one of these fuckfaces that do the old clickbait double switch, where it's like, we make it sound like the sky's falling, and then when you come in, we're actually reasonable people. Theories, he's great at that, like putting in these incendiary titles, and then he comes in, when you actually listen to it, he's like, oh yeah, you people are dumb for believing this. Like, well, guess that's why he has 3.3 million subs and we have 0, but fuck it. Still not playing in that sandbox. So here we go. So this all popped up last week. We're using Cosmic Book News' coverage of it. They're not the ones that broke this. It's Doomcock. So right there, when you hear someone who goes by the name of Doomcock as being the source for a story like this, and the story is Star Wars The Acolyte canceled. Leslie Headland fired. You're fired. Like, she got Vince McMahon's for whatever reason. Maybe because, I don't know, she's fighting Kathleen Kennedy behind the scenes. She's pissing on George Lucas's face as he's looking all decrepit and his health is failing. Who knows? But Acolyte, her series is canceled and she's been fired. Fuck it all, right, Nick? You know, something like that. You would think that would be all over the news. It'd be on Entertainment Tonight, Extra. Not a cricket. You know who covers these types of fucking stories? Cosmic Book News, Giant Freaking Robot, Mike Zero, Star Wars Theory, and Doomcock. Okay? Right there. Just Zero, Doomcock. That's all you need to know. If Zero touches it or Doomcock touches it, it's straight clickbait bullshit. Okay? But here we go. Here's like the details get even better, Nick. This is where I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? It's okay. The info once again comes from YouTuber Doomcock and some Hollywood writer and producer named Cameron Pasha. Okay, I didn't care to look up Cameron because once I saw Doomcock, I was like, all right, why is anyone giving this a fucking ounce of thought? But here's kind of the shakedown from Doomcock, who has a description of the plot as the future ruler of Earth. I think that's what he calls himself. So clearly this guy's fucking Looney Tune. They don't really even know the synopsis. They're just all fucking making shit up. But here's Doomcock's statement on this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kathleen Kennedy was already with the Acolyte to do her best to finish off George Lucas's legacy and kill the Force. These damn women at Lucasfilm killing the fucking Force, Nick. I can't take it. Cancel them all. Get them the fuck out of here. All right, so you got that. Leslie Headland out. Acolyte gets a soft cancellation. So Doomcock went on to explain that this Carmen Pasha, who has an insider source named Sparrow. I mean, it's like we're in a fucking James Bond movie or Mission Impossible, right? I mean, we got Doomcock and Sparrow and Kamran Pash all coming up with these goods where literally studios invest money and shoot an entire series, and then they're going to cancel it without announcing it because, yeah, that's how business operates.
They're going to cancel it. They're going to cancel it 4 days after they announce a new character on it.
Right. Well, and then, some people, you know, we say a reasonable thing. Well, yeah, it's already been shot. They're doing posts. It's not canceled. Like, well, look what they did to Batgirl. The whole thing was done, and then they wrote it off for tax purposes. Like, okay, that's a completely different fucking situation.
Yeah,
this is so far off. You know, Sparrow confirmed, and this is not a rumor. This is their confirmation that Leslie Headland is no longer working with Lucasfilm. They're no longer part of the company's inner infrastructure. They've been removed. So the other thing they've confirmed is a part of the process of Leslie Headland no longer being an employee of Lucasfilm is that her Acolyte show, the mysterious Acolyte, for which we never have a clear answer as to what they're doing. The Acolyte show has been essentially put into, as Sparrow puts it, soft cancellation. I'm trying to like dramatize it because like that's like what these people do. Like, do you just read their words and like the tones and the stupid shit they're saying? It's like so fucking fantastical. It's ridiculous. But it gets play and people pick it up. Hey, Matt, what do you think about this? It's like, no, there's nothing to think about this. This is the same old trick we've been telling you about and why we'll never be popular. Because we don't fucking get in the weeds here. We come in here and we talk about it on our show to point out how fucking ridiculous this shit is. We don't make it our mantra to make this our core content. Our core content is not to just kick the hornet's nest with Star Wars fans and get the fucking misogynists and the racists all worked up because they're going to click on our videos and fight in the comments to keep generating more views. All right, how many more times do we got to explain? This is what is happening with this type of stuff. This is what this is. This is why the Cocks and the Zeros and the Theories, and I'll give, you know, at least Theory has some content he makes, okay? I can't take that away from him. But it's like, people, until you get official announcements, all this are these dickheads out there playing on your kind of your core beliefs. Okay? You know, if you're someone like me and you're a fairly enlightened person, you'll look at this stuff and be like, this is ridiculous. I know exactly what they're doing. If you're someone that gets worked up with these buzzwords and dog whistles that people are throwing around these days about race and sexual orientation, then yeah, you're gonna be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I knew it. I knew it. They hired a transgender person. They fucked up Star Wars, and now she's fired. Yes. Like, go read the comments on these people's videos. Yes, I knew it. This is the happiest day of my life. This transgender person's failed.
It's just gonna be like
that's what they care about. That's why they're excited.
The funny thing is like, it's like what? Like, how do these people react when like the show releases and there's no issues around?
That's the best
like,
part,
no,
Nick.
like,
their followers are all like, "Oh, hey, well, hey, look, see, the women win again. The woke ass companies win again. That's why they're woke. That's why it was made. They always have an out. You know that. There's always an out. And the fans, they don't care. I mean, dude, I hate getting political, but look at the guy on the other side of the political aisle and his followers. He's a fucking criminal. And he's more popular. It doesn't matter. Like, people want to believe what they want to believe, regardless of how fucking crazy it is or wrong. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, real life is gone. Real life is gone. The 21st century of Earth, real life has been broken. It just doesn't exist anymore. There's no reality where facts exist anymore.
It's wild. So like I mean, like, I didn't even see this because, like, I mean, honestly, it's nowhere except this website. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's just dumb. It's just fucking
silly.
Stupid, and it also makes like so little sense. Like, they don't give a reason for it to be canceled. Like, what's the reasoning behind the cancellation? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
They don't say they're like, it's canceled, but they don't say why.
Well, because they didn't like Leslie Headland, I think is the general thing here. And then they go into here's their justification, right? It gets even better. Lucasfilm will treat this exactly like the Rian Johnson never-ending trilogy that will happen one day, inshallah, God willing, right? Which they ran with that for years, and that's their play. Their play is they're just going to not talk about it anymore.
Inshallah thing.
I don't even know what that means.
This is just so.
They're gonna memory hold it, says Pasha. It will always be. It's coming out soon, God willing. We just got to make a few more things happen until eventually no one talks about it anymore, which is exactly what happened. Rian Johnson, who is much bigger than Miss Headland, and that's why what they did with him. Okay. To loop this back, this is all coming from someone who positions themselves on YouTube as Doomcock, ruler of Earth. All right? We good? We good? Okay. Thank you. I mean, come on. But to kind of loop back to our beginning discussion here and kind of what happens when we run out of Star Wars to talk about. It's like you said, you can either kind of take a deep breath and reflect on what's to come, or you can be a Doomcock or a Mike Zero and put out just inflammatory nonsense where you know it's straight clickbait and you know it's going to get you action, but you have no moral compass. You like kicking that nest and getting people all fucking worked up in the comments. Like that's why this world's broke, because of social media and people preying on the minds of the, you know, the uninformed, the uneducated, and the educated. Like, it's very easy to agitate people these days.
Yeah, it's like, for people like that, it's like the never-ending search for relevancy.
Right. It's the grievance culture. I mean, grievance culture sells.
Like,
I mean,
online.
The whole one political party in America thrives on grievance culture. That's their fucking platform, is grievance. This is happening to me. This is happening to you. This is happening to them. Blah, 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 blah. We have no fucking plans to fix anything, but you should be pissed because they're doing it to you. It's a fucking joke.
I just have like, I don't have enough energy to care about that. But yeah, I mean, it's just a dumbass story. Obviously, the show is still coming out. Obviously, there's probably gonna be like, similar to how there was a huge write-up in Entertainment Weekly a couple months ahead of the release of Ahsoka. Just wait till next year when the huge EW write-up comes out. I
do not see it happening. I mean, we saw the set pics. They aired a fucking trailer at Celebration. Like, it's a thing, okay? It's not going away.
Yeah.
Even if the Leslie stuff somehow ends up to be true, where she was let go, guess what? She doesn't own the Acolyte. No one owns fucking shit over at Lucasfilm.
And then also,
but
like,
Lucasfilm.
if she was fired,
It would be.
If
It
she
would
was actually
be in
fired,
the trades. It would be out there.
everywhere.
I mean, a few
Yeah.
months ago we didn't talk about it, but I think a producer from the Acolyte was fired, and she's suing Lucasfilm, and it was all over the place because that's big news.
Yeah. Do you remember when where Miller and Lord got let go of Solo?
Yeah.
That was everywhere.
They don't. You
And
can't hide
everybody
that
was
shit.
talking about
Like you can't. If you're Lucasfilm or Disney and you're trying to bury that, Leslie's team is going to come out and try to set their own narrative. Like that's how this stuff works. You don't just nothing is said and then a guy named Doomcock releases the news. Like no. All right.
So I don't know. That's like the level of nothingness that's happening in Star Wars.
I'm telling you right now,
like,
man. The Acolyte, if it makes it to the light of day, which it will, is going to fucking destroy the fan base all over again. I mean, it's going to be the second coming of TLJ on steroids. It's a female-led and created show. A transgender-led and created show. Most of its cast is female or people of color. That's all you need to blow up the brains of the fandom. So just wait. The Acolyte is going to be a social shit show for those people that get upset about seeing non-whites and non-males in Star Wars. I'm telling you, it is going. I just don't understand. People will boycott this show just on the grounds that it's not proper Star Wars in their head or whatever.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, I just don't understand. It's like, why do people care? Like, why?
How can you make such a strong judgment about a show that you haven't even seen yet? You don't even
that you haven't seen anything.
This is all we've gotten from the Acolyte outside of the closed door shit at Celebration. This is all we know. This is it. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, that's...
But you somehow people out there like, oh yeah, this is going to happen and that's why Leslie's ruined it. Or they're going to do this and that's why Leslie's ruined it. They want a manless character to destroy the Force because she's mad at the Sith and the Jedi. And I'm going, what's so bad about that? That'd be kind of fucking neat. I've never seen anything like that before. Like just say what you want to say, people. Those of you that get upset at shows like this, just say, I don't want to watch a Star Wars show that deals with women and people of color, because you know that's what it is. I challenge any of you motherfuckers to a debate over this. Because what do you know about the Acolyte that could have you so upset right now? For those of you that I've seen on Instagram in 2023 for a show that's coming out in 2024 saying, I'm not going to watch this. This is terrible. You're already writing it off. Like, I don't get that. I don't get it. And it's definitely, you're right. Like I love you for it, but why? Like, how can you be that against a show that you know nothing about outside of the people in it and a paragraph of what it may entail?
Yeah, no. It's just stupidity.
So just be honest. Like I just want these
laziness.
People, Nick, to just start being honest. Like, just come out and be like, I don't like non-whites, or I don't like females. Females can't be heroes. Just say that and quit beating around the bush.
If that's your stance, like
it is, man. If it's their stance. Just like it's their stance.
Don't be a bitch and own it, and then you can start like a debate with somebody, or you can just choose to ignore them completely. Right. If like that's your opinion, is like I'm just not going to watch anything that has like a lady as the lead character in it. That's fine. Like don't try to hide behind something else.
Look at Rey. What's Rey? She's a Mary Sue. Discount her right away. She's a girl. Girls could never do that fast. Yet we have Luke Skywalker who sat around till he's 18, 19, not doing a fucking thing with the Force. He puts on a blinder and listens to an old guy that likes to speak from a certain point of view. Sits on a swamp for like a day or two. And yet that's okay. Like, yeah. Luke can definitely become a skilled Jedi after a few interactions with some old Jedi. But Rey, who just naturally comes to her Force powers, she had some physical skill before that. The fact that she's able to do anything because she's got a pussy is like, no, Mary Sue bullshit. Plot armor, fuck her. She sucks. And that's been Rey since the Force Awakens. And you know, deep down, it has nothing to do with Rey or the character. It's the fact that she's a girl and not a boy. That's it. I know it. They know it. They just won't admit it.
It has to be so exhausting to hate.
Yes,
so
I
much
know,
stuff
man. That's like I don't get it. Like religious people,
you
especially
truly have to have. Yeah, like you truly have to have nothing going on in your life to actually be this mad at something.
Yeah,
that truly you know nothing.
But it's like all the stuff, like people that get so upset about LGBT. It's like, who fucking cares, man? Like if they're not they're killing you or breaking the law, like why do you give a fuck? Oh, God didn't like. Well, guess what? God didn't write any of these fucking Bibles you people love. You know, the Middle Eastern God, he didn't write the Quran. The Jewish God didn't write the Torah. The Christian God didn't write the fucking Bible. Like, let's be real if that's what we're going to use. Men wrote it, interpreting what they think they heard from some voice in the sky. Like, okay. We all know how up and honest men can be, especially back in those days. Like, give me a fucking break.
Voices in the skies too. That's what told us that Palpatine was coming back in Fortnite. So you know how good those things go. I mean, I don't know. It's just like I have nothing to like. I don't really have any opinion on this because it doesn't warrant any of my time to form an opinion.
I know. And I'm sure I'm pissing people off. I don't care. Like, whatever. It's fine. That's just how I feel. Like I'm with Nick, man. It's like I've got so many other demons in my mind. I can't even like consider like sitting there and just hating a group of people because they're not like me. Like who fucking cares? Who cares?
Yeah, it's like there's like so much stuff that I have to deal with in just like my regular ass life. Like
yeah, I mean there are days I need everything in my capacity to not want to jump off a cliff. Right? I mean, I truly have a poisoned brain. It's bad. Every male in my family before my direct grandfather killed themselves in their 40s. Okay? Like, I come from a poisonous line of mental illness. I can't even sit there and be like, oh, yeah, today I'm just going to sit here and fucking hate someone because they kissed a guy and they're a guy. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Who fucking cares? In the end, Jesus saves. Crazy. Jesus loves everybody. At least that's what I was taught.
There you go.
Get the fuck out of here.
There you go.
All right.
That being said, too, like kind of on the same note, since the first footage from Acolyte was shown at Celebration this year, I think that those of you who had Celebration tickets, or maybe even it might even be open to everybody now. You can buy Celebration 2023 merch from the Celebration online store. So if you weren't able to go to Celebration 2023 in London, and you want to pick yourself up some merch, and I've looked on there and there's some pretty cool shit. There's like a skateboard art deck that looks really cool. So if you're like into skateboarding or like skateboard art, you can pick that up. The one thing that I want to get to, this looks pretty, there's a Blue Harvest shirt that I think I'm gonna snag just because I like the style of it. It's got like the Blue Harvest logo in the Star Wars font. So that looks pretty cool. But yeah, so if those of you out there are looking for some Celebration 2023 merch because you weren't able to go, you can go to shop.starwarscelebration.com and you can get your stuff there. So make sure to go swing by that if you haven't.
Bat's confirming
40th anniversary Return of the Jedi stuff is up there as well.
Bat's confirming it is for everyone, but the pickings are sparse.
Yeah, not much left. That's what I can see. There's this Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary ringer tee that looks really awesome. That I'm going to pick that up, and then like I said, that Blue Harvest T-shirt also looks pretty sweet. So I'm gonna grab that as well. There's an Ahsoka T-shirt on there. There's some other just like random merchandise and stuff on there as well. So go check it out in case you are looking for some new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves just joined us. We were talking about him today. I forgot he sits right next to me now. Look at him. Look at him. All right. Well, there you go. Nick's, I like that. Nick's getting into making people spend money thing that us collectors do. So good. He's learning. He's like, hey, there's some Star Wars shit, you idiots. Go spend your money on it, even though you don't need it.
Go spend your money on Star Wars stuff, baby.
Oh,
That's
boy.
right.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Star Wars stuff, like when I did the basement, I had to, obviously move everything, shuffle from unfinished floor to finished floor. I found a great poster that I've had hidden behind like my toy shelves. It's like every major lightsaber battle from the Skywalker saga. And I realized, Nick, that I bought it before Rise came out, so it is missing one slice. But I don't really care to go look for the new one there. But it's a nice fucking pic. So I pulled it out and it's now viewable. And I shoved like an Ohio State, Michigan piece of art behind the display case at this point in time. I also found like a lot of fucking random toys I forgot I had. And I was telling Nick earlier, and I think Connor has mentioned this before, and I might take him up on it. I'm at the point with the Black Series where I want to go in on my shelves, extend my stubby arm, and just do like a wipe into a tote. Fill like a fucking 50-gallon tote of all my, hundreds and hundreds of Black Series, all the way back from the, the blue and orange line boxes, all the way up. I think I collected almost everything up through The Last Jedi, even a few Rise of Skywalkers, and just be like, there's 500 figures in here, $3,000. Here you go. No fucking boxes. I'll dump in all the accessories. You'll have to pair them up, but just get it the fuck out of my field of view. You know what I mean? Like you probably not, since you're not a hoarder, but maybe.
Yeah, don't collect.
Well, maybe when you moved houses, like sometimes it is good to just kind of expunge some shit. You know what I mean? Like just you've looked at it and you're like, over the time, you're like, oh, I need it. I'm going to need this at some point. I know it. I got to keep it. But then eventually you can just come around to, no, just fucking throw it out. Like it feels great. And I know I'm going to feel better if I can get some of these fucking 1/12 scales fucks out of here.
No, you are right. I mean, like there were literally things that were like when we moved into the last house, we like boxed stuff up that we didn't even open from the last house. So when we were moving, we're like, toss it. We don't even know what's in there, but it obviously does not matter because we haven't even fucking opened it.
That's how you know that we call him Big Dollar Nick. Like if you picked up on that, he just said in his first new house,
threw it the fuck away.
His first new house that he just bought like maybe 2 years ago, they still hadn't finished unpacking before they bought their new bigger house just this year. Dude, so dual income, no kids. Congratulations to Nick and Taylor. They're fucking tearing it up down there. I thought Austin was expensive, or no?
Austin is expensive.
All right. This guy's he's just fucking slanging those digital ads, making money hand over fist. Good for you, dude. Good for you.
I will tell you that the only reason we were able to get this house is because we sold our house before the Austin real estate market really.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say out loud, but they made a nice chunk of change that allowed them to down payment on an expansion without getting too stressed out. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, you sold one that was stupid, and idiots were buying houses for like 30 or 40% over their value. Oh man, they're all in for a rude awakening over the next 2 or 3 years. Don't worry, we're gonna have another bubble bust. It's coming. I mean, when regulations get removed under certain regimes, and years later shit starts to fall apart, and we're looking at that again. I mean, my uncle's in finance loan. And he's like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming up. So don't look for beach properties yet, because I guarantee there's a lot of assholes that overspent on that stuff. All right. Well, Nick, I think it's time for the fan segment. And I did post the question a week, but I forgot to post it to our profile. I did it right before the show, and we actually got some bites. So I was able to put those up. So as we do every week on the SWTS, we like to dedicate a segment to our fans via the question of the week, which we post on Instagram at Star Wars Time Show, both in the stories and the profile grid. And we just ask you to, obviously like us, tell IGAI that we're worth showing up in your feed so you can actually see the question of the week, and then you just got to respond. A lot of weeks you'll probably be the only one responding, so you'll get featured. We'll talk about your content, and we'll either say you're stupid or smart. All right, so this week, Nick, we did, I can't even remember what the hell question I went with here.
The question was, who would you prefer to follow, Din Djarin or Bo-Katan, and why?
All right, there we go.
And we actually did, like you said, it just hit the feed right before we went live, essentially, and we were able to get some answers in before we hit the fan segment. So good on you for all of you who were checking the IG feed during the show. Well done.
You read the question, right?
Yes,
okay,
read the
good.
question.
All right. So go ahead. This is my favorite part when Nick reads.
The responses to who would you rather follow, Din Djarin or Bo-Katan Kryze, starts off with Scion XTC. He says Bo because she has leader experience and wants to actually be a leader. Also, 2%.
Yeah, 2% club. Stand up. I'm in that shit.
Scion.
I'm in that shit, Scion. You know it. I'm a lifetime member. I may even be the president of the 2% club. Hey, by the way, she started a podcast. I'm half tempted to get Spa to reach out, see if we can be a guest.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, Katie, we do a podcast in our basement, too. You want to talk?
It's like, let's talk.
Starbuck, blah, Bo-Katan, blah. Oh, I love her. I really do. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I get excited just thinking of Miss Sagal.
Next up, Kill Cutter Photo says Din all the way.
Okay, short and sweet.
That's it. Gundam Wars 1120 says, I go with Din. Hope to see Bo help guide him into the role of Mandalore. Bo had her shot and should let another usher in a new age for the Mandalorians. Yeah, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, there's good thoughts, but when the guy literally wants nothing to do with leading and just wants to be her liege or her liege knight or whatever they're called, then yeah. I mean, like he's already made his decision that he doesn't want to do that. If he wanted to, like if he was like, I will take up the mantle and lead Mandalore into its greatest era yet, all for it. But he literally, he was like, he could have been like, yo, bitch, the saber's mine. He's like, actually, by a technicality in episode 2, she is the rightful heir to the Darksaber. I quit. So yeah, he's done.
And then this is a good response here from Sir Dork. It's not actually like a direct response to Gundam Wars, but he says, Sir Dork says, Bo for sure. Why follow someone who doesn't want to lead?
Yeah,
exactly. Clone Wars 501st says, I'm going with Din. You don't know what crazy shit is going to happen with him and Grogu. That is true. You'd probably be on way more crazy ass adventures if you were to follow Din over Bo. Toy at Heart says, I'm following Grogu's dad. And then 16 Shooter says, Bo, at least she has a plan. Very true. Right now, Din's plan is just to like hang out at the homestead,
fucking chew some tobacco and let the kid get fat on frogs. I mean, that's a good life there.
Kick back.
What if we come into season 4 and Din has like a massive spotchka gut? Like his belly hangs over his pants. he's still sitting on the stoop. He's got like 3 chins that hang out of the bottom of his helmet.
He's like fat Thor.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be like, hey, Grogu, give me another bottle of spotchka and a side of womp rats. And Grogu floats it over to him.
Honestly, I wouldn't blame him because he's been through a lot in a very short amount of time.
His whole worldview got blown up with that little fucking guy.
Oh, yeah. Like, he is just complete. I mean, just like a complete shift in his lifestyle and what he is doing and what the expectations are of him and everything else. Definitely a big change for him. He needs some time to sit down and just kind of drink his worries away almost.
He's sitting there, he gets his like carbine back and he's just sitting there, pew! Got another one, Grogu, 10 points, bitch. It's like, that's a Jawa, that's worth 50. And Grogu's like, tabulating his score on a chalkboard or something.
Yeah.
Look at SW props.
But yeah,
Shit, props. You're in the 2% club too. Everyone here, any man that likes Woe Man, hell, even if you like other man, I guarantee you would consider letting Katie sit on your face, please. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Yeah.
I mean, I would probably see, the thing is like you would truly just be like following Din and Grogu.
Correct.
Like you would literally be like following behind them as they go
you just
other
become
places.
another adventurer and you join their party. Like, it's like a Diablo link up. You could you'd be a force user to his bounty hunter Mandalorian skills. It would be a nice pairing, I think.
Yeah. So like that's how it would go if you were following Din and Grogu. It's like you would kind of like join their adventuring.
Yeah,
party,
I mean, honestly, if I had the answer, let's be real. The creep in me, I would follow Bo, just hopefully to get a chance to possibly see her nude, like maybe she changing her flight suit. But I think following Din and Grogu would be a little more exciting and fun at this point in time, because I think Bo kind of has to chill on Mandalore for a bit and get that shit under control. So that could get a little monotonous, where these days I think Din and Grogu are essentially becoming Rangers of the New Republic. So they're going to have a few more, get mixed up into some hijinks a bit more.
That's kind of the approach that I was going to take too, is like, it would be really cool. I mean, and depending on how things go, I mean, we still have a lot to see in terms of what happens with Mandalore and Bo and stuff like that. But it would be cool to like be on Mandalore as it's being rebuilt, as it's being repopulated, as like the new Mandalorian ways being established and stuff like that. But I think it would be more fun to go with Din and Grogu.
I mean, you would think in season 4 that they'll probably check in back at home base, right? I mean, they'll probably roll through the green planet, see and if any progress has been made. Maybe some helmets from the children have been removed. They're getting a little more relaxed. You never know. Do we get any Bo-Katan and Ahsoka? I mean, there's tons of potential for it. It would make sense if we did, but what are you thinking?
I think that we do, even if it is just kind of like, even if it is something that, like you just mentioned, where like Bo and Din, or Din and Grogu kind of swing past Mandalore for like a check-in, or if like they link up with Ahsoka and then go to Mandalore all together or something like that.
I don't think Din and Grogu show up in Ahsoka at all, but Bo I could see just because of their past. And the tricky thing in Nick, especially when we talk about the sequel or the Mandoverse timeline, is we're not 100% positive on when Ahsoka even takes place during the Mandoverse timeline. I think a lot of us are just like, oh, hey, you had Mando, Boba Fett, Mando. So all the shit's probably happening after Mando season 3. The show could jump around the timeline a bit, especially with the World Between Worlds. So
exactly. Yeah, I think it will. I think it's probably going to play like in between seasons of Mandalorian and like in some after the current, like where we're currently sitting in the Mandoverse timeline as well. So I do think that there is an opportunity to have like a lot of like pop-ins or like check-ins along the journey to see, like, because I mean realistically she's been doing what she's doing, tracking Thrawn and Ezra for decades. Like, this work is not something that she's picked up recently.
10 years easy, maybe 15 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, this is probably going to jump around a little bit. Definitely some World Between Worlds aspect to this in terms of like her going back in time or people coming forward in time from the past potentially. Like, I think there's a lot of opportunity to like play in different timelines and for it all to make sense, and it not just to be like, well, this is happening after Mando season 3. I think it's going to be all over the place.
I know Tones, when he was at Celebration, he got an autograph from Katie, and he's like, "Hey, Ahsoka," and she's like, "Oh, you never know, you never know." I mean, I could see it. There are also rumors that they saw, or Katie herself. Oh my God, sorry. This summer, I believe, at one of these cons, talked about it. It's like, "Oh yeah, I visited the Ahsoka set and blah blah blah." It's just natural. You got to remember, I mean, Ahsoka and Bo go all the way back to the Clone Wars when Bo was in Death Watch. I mean, that's when Ahsoka meets her, when Bo's a piece of shit. And I actually think they, had a little bit of tension, but, through time and Bo finally realizing that she's fucking stupid, and Vizsla's in leagues with Maul, and then Maul takes over and Bo's like, "All right, I'm out." She comes back to Ahsoka, a little bit closer towards the end of the Clone Wars, like, "Hey, can you help me? I fucked up. This Maul guy's not going away. We kind of need you and hopefully some of those fucking clones to come kick his ass out." And that's kind of I'm not saying it's a life debt, but it narratively makes a ton of sense if Ahsoka's like, "Hey, Bo, we kind of need to fucking team up again. I'm going to need your help, or I need some information that your Mandalorian, tracker, scouts, or whatever could help me on something." I think Bo gets heavily mixed up into the movie, the crossover event for sure. Oh, I could see Bo and Ahsoka just being light, like maybe calm type of action, comms, hollows, stuff like that. Not necessarily Bo and teaming up with Ahsoka. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Bo smacked her ass. I want to see this. When does Bo smack Ahsoka's ass? I'd watch that. I'm a creep. I'm definitely creepy.
Was that like one of the behind the scenes
I don't know.
things or something?
I mean, that's kind of getting me excited. I think it was Spencer in our Discord. If you want to join the Discord, we have it open. There's like 50 of us in there, and some of us fuck around throughout the week. But someone posted it was like Star Whores. The good old Star Whores, and it's just a bunch of like scantily clad Twi'leks. It's like, yeah, well, now I know why they posted in Discord and did an @Matt Haywood. So thank you, people. You guys get me. You understand me and my fetishes for Star Wars alien women. All right, Bat's saying this happens in TCW. Bo smacked Ahsoka's ass. I mean, was it flirtatious, or was it like, "Get on out of here, you Jedi"?
Like get him.
Go,
like
way to go, like girl. Yeah, like that.
Thing?
Like, yeah, go team, go. That's one of my favorite things to do in football: smacking boys' asses. You know what I mean? Or fucking punching them in the nuts. Yeah, you ever like were your friends demented? Like, were you? I'm not picturing you as like in the jockey type of crowd in high school. I've always been able to kind of skirt the line of nerds and jocks. I've been lucky. I've been decent at sports, and I can kind of get into the dorky stuff. But in high school, man, I don't know about like you and your boys, but we were the dumbest fucking meatheads. Like, us hanging out was mostly like, "Hey, punch!" You like arm punches, punch bug, this shit, or nut tagging. If you're just sitting there, you wing your hand at their balls. I got one of my friends to stick. We were in social studies. He's like, "Dude, give me one of your Mentos." I was like, "You see that push pin on the board there? Take that push pin out and stick it in your arm." He did it, so I gave him a Mento. But like that's a type of friends I hung out with in high school. Did you do any of that dumb shit, or is that just like?
We definitely did.
Okay.
We definitely
it's just boys,
did.
Man. That's just how boys are. We're fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, we're dumb for sure. I definitely like used one of those mini staplers.
Yeah.
That they like made you get and like stapled myself in the arm.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm not that far. I mean, let's just say that's like what we do. That's what, especially when you're going through high school and all those puberty and hormones and whatnot, whatever's going down. But yeah, I mean, our fun was sitting around and essentially physically and mentally abusing each other. Like, that's what guys do when they hang out. Sound like fun, ladies? It might be, because I got a little girl in my neighborhood's all little girls, and they are awful to each other. Like mental assassin. It's going to be with you the rest of your life type of shit. Like, they cut deep, even at 7, 8, 9. Boys, it's girls now are definitely
well, girls just in general have are even when I was growing up, were just very visceral with their mental game.
Oh yeah. There's no fucking around. Like feelings get hurt around here a lot. To the point where
kill you with one.
It's bad, man. It's like, whoosh you. Oh, I'll see some of the interactions like, oh fuck, I am a bad person and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't fucking say that shit or do that. I've seen a little girl come out, hey, I want to play. We don't want to play with you. It's like, oh, and then she runs away crying. It's like, oh my god. If it was boys, we'd just be like, fuck you. We go chase you and punch him out, and he'd be like, okay, yeah, you can play with us now. It's like Bat saying here. This makes sense too. Bat saying friends' older brothers used to chase us with BB guns. Yeah, I mean that's what boys do. I mean, light stuff on fire, break
we definitely
stuff.
Shot each other with BB guns and airsoft guns and all that shit.
Yeah, and vandalism is another thing that boys like to do. I was my thing was vandals and low-level theft. That's the quality of character I was when I was in middle school. Love stealing shit from thrift drug and vandalizing stuff in the neighborhood. Great guy. Works bombs, by the way. You guys ever do works bombs down in the bayou? I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but look up works bomb. Anybody? It's anyone can make them with household items, and if done right, you can definitely blow off mailboxes. If anything, you can create your own legit quarter sticks of dynamite, at least in terms of the sound. So check it out. I'm not going to go into the details here. Parental advisory.
Yeah, I know. It's we're definitely going to get pulled off of YouTube if you go too far into that.
Parental, there you go, throwing snowballs at cars. I used to lay tacks in busy streets. That was one of my things.
Oh my God.
We would sit behind bushes and throw rocks and pine cones in the busy streets and the oncoming traffic. Nick, if I stayed in Pittsburgh throughout my high school term, I would have done jail time.
You would have been arrested
easily.
For sure.
I'm not saying hard time, but I would have probably spent the night in the fucking tank at least once or twice. There's no doubt about it. I came out to Ohio and all these hillbillies, they just weren't into it. Plus, it's a lot more spaced out in Ohio than it was in Pittsburgh in terms of just urban areas. So to go see a friend in Ohio when I moved there, it would be a 20-minute drive. In Pittsburgh, I could ride my bike essentially to downtown Pittsburgh and start fucking shit up. All right, another tangent for you here. Let's go ahead and transition into the final segment, the final fan segment, in fact. And that is the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the Week. We do it every week we're live. Even if we're not live, we'll put out our top 5. We just don't honor them. So sorry for all of you that made the top 5 last week. You're not getting any glory on today's show. That's just reserved for the current top 5 people. So Nick, go ahead and take over as I get some of the shit switched around here.
100%. All right. To kick off this week's top 5, we have a good friend of the show, a good friend of Matt's, and one time a mentee to Matt's. One time,
it's still the funniest thing on the planet. The fact that he reached out to me at one point in time. Matt
a mentor. That's how long ago.
Well, let's just say Jason has put in his 10,000 hours. I stopped at about 100. That's where my journey to become a master toy photographer ended. I only made it to 100, not 10,000.
So you gave it to him, Matt. It's at Jason B. Michael on Instagram, and he's got an awesome crossover shot between Conan the Barbarian and Star Wars. And what we see is Conan himself jumping down with his flail raised over his head, about to smash an IPD to pieces while on the forest moon of Endor. You can see Wicket, and I think who is that? Is that Chief Tripper or Paplu? One of them. One of the elders of the Ewok tribe there, as Conan is about to obliterate this IPD. It's truly an awesome shot, as are all of Jason's shots.
We always fuck up this Ewok. I'm going to figure this out.
It's
Hold on. We got to give him his just desserts.
I don't think it's Chief
It's not Chirpa. It's not Paplu. Is that low gray? No, that's not low gray. That's not low gray either.
It's not. Is it just Ewok. No, it's not just Ewok
Hold
Elder.
on, I'm
because it's
firing
like
up Swago. I know he's in that, and I'll get it from there. Hold on, I just gotta filter down the Ewoks. Almost there. Tebow. It's
Tebow,
fucking Tebow. Oh, sorry, Tebow.
And Wicket sitting there.
Not Tim Tebow,
guys.
like the furry guy. Ewok Tebow. Tebow.
The first.
Yeah, the OG Tebow.
Yeah, the OG Tebow. But yeah, no, it's just a super fun shot. Conan looks vicious in his like mid-air jump.
I'll go to the follow-up where he actually makes connection with the IPD.
Actually smashes.
Look at my man.
IPD
Look at that. Fucking Wicket. I love Wicket. And that's why I picked an Ewok for Scoundrels of the New Republic. I've always loved the Ewoks.
Yeah.
I know they're controversial to some of the older OT fans. But Wicket in general, you know, bumming food off of Leia and yub-nubbing and, you know, poking people with his little spear. But it is great. Conan makes connection. He makes landing on the IPD. He's going to stab it out. But then you got Wicket joining the fray. He's hanging on to one of his, you know, the tentacles, if you will. And
legs,
then Tebow's in like a dead sprint to try and make his hop onto the mechanical beast to kill. But and that's where, you know, Jason and other masters shine, Nick. And like you were saying in the first shot, I mean, just look at the pose on the Ewoks. They're not doing anything action heavy, but you can tell as a human that's seen other humans kind of watching a spectacle, that's exactly what they look like they're doing, right? They are enthralled by a spectacle. And that pose he has them in, just, I think it sells the shot more than Conan's action attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the pure like.
Yeah, they're
like,
in awe. It's like holy shit! And then you go to shot two. They were motivated by that move Conan's making. So Wicket's like, fuck it, Tebow, I'm getting in on this shit. Yub nub. He's like, blah blah blah. He's fucking hanging on, stabbing it.
It's
good stuff.
It's so fun. Yeah, I mean, Jason, just excellent use of imagination, crossing over Conan and Star Wars, and then obviously. Utilizing Wicket and Tebow in there to really draw in the Ewoks and all of the Star Wars fandom. So
we should have just looked at the chat. Kung Fu had us covered, but yeah, I knew Kung Fu would know because I mean he is. I mean we're in the same guild in Swago, but he's definitely way more in tune with that game. I honestly want to get him in a room, and be like, dude, can we like maybe quit this game at some point? Like it's just so much. It's so much effort, and like I know I sound like a baby, but this summer when the other games have been out, like Diablo 4, like I want to play that at night. I don't want to get my fucking territory war attacks in, crate attacks in, this fucking attack in. It's like I'll tell you what, Kung Fu. It's this is the itchiest I've been getting with Swago in my 8+ years with the game. I just like
definitely. I definitely tired of that one.
Yeah.
Like, it just like stops being fun at a certain point. It's like it literally does like almost become like a job.
It is.
Like,
it's become very chore-like. Yep, it's become very chore-like.
Yeah, it's like I gotta grind this because I gotta get this so I can play this thing and all. It's like it becomes. And
you
like
should
the gameplay
see
itself.
You should see what they've done since you've left to make it even more. Like you got fucking relics now and datacrons and this and that and this event and that event and guild events, the crate raid, fuck my face, kill me, cut off my fingers, take my phone, I hate the game, fuck off.
It's just like in like the gameplay, like it would be one thing if the gameplay was fun, but they got it to a point now to where it's like most of the time you're not even playing, you're just automating.
You're simming combat. Or the shit you have to play. It's so RNGesus that sometimes you want to poke out your eyes as you're going through it. Kung Fu, Kung Fu's the only one that knows what I'm talking about. Like this crate raid, it's fucking like in the guild we have to hit certain scores, and I'm like, fuck, now I have to pay attention, and I could not get this damn trick to hit. And he's like, fuck the RNG, I hate this game, I'm gonna quit. And he showed me how to do it. But even then, I'm like, Diablo, Zelda, Mario Golf. I mean, there's like a lot of other games to play that doesn't feel like a job. You know what I mean? But here he is in the chat. He just said, won't allow it. I knew it. I tried. I shot my shot, Kung Fu. I was like, maybe if I do it in public, I'll have courage. I don't. I can't do it. It's like my one attachment to the guy. I haven't seen Kung Fu. Shit, I think no. It was 2019. But yeah, I mean, same year Celebration. It was the fall of 2019. He was out for a Buckeye game. I haven't fucking seen him in person since. So it's like our one last connection. So I know I can't. I know I can't quit you. I can't quit you, Kung Fu. All right. Sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
All right. Next up in the top 5, we have
it's our buddy
Super Scoundrel, and different from what we usually see from Super Scoundrel, which is him, him creating vector art based off of existing characters. Devin has gotten back into digital art, so like actually drawing using digital pens and like digital art pads and stuff like that. And this guy whipped up an absolutely stunning portrait of Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who is portraying Sabine Wren in the upcoming Ahsoka series. And I mean, like, this is some spot on, true, beautiful artwork that he put out there. Star Wars related, definitely not directly a Star Wars character.
Well, I mean, he does have her. He does have her in the long hair Sabine look. Like, it is. Yeah. It's not short hair Sabine, but that is kind of like some of the styling she's wearing.
The earlier, like, yeah.
Here he is right here. He's coming in. The creator himself.
Real ass paint.
D squared. Devin Doney just giving us the word here.
I remember when Devin was like, "Oh man, I haven't like actually like drawn anything or like done any like digital, like true digital artwork that wasn't vector in a while." And this is the first thing he pumps out after he starts. The guy is just truly.
I don't know, Nick. It's looking a little rusty to me. It's looking a little. Oh, those lines aren't that sharp, Devin. Come on.
Beautiful stuff.
Like, how the fuck do you even trace that? Right? He told us he doesn't really draw from hand. He traces, but even that, I'm looking at like, okay, how the fuck do you do that? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, the Adobe Express is starting to loop in some of the generative AI stuff. And you can use like a wiping tool to wipe out a background, then type in, make it look like a piece of shit. And it won't, because you can't say poop. But you know what I'm saying? I can't even use the wiping tool to draw a straight line. Like, I just try to draw a straight line, and there's always like some little fluctuations and undulations in my straight line. It's like, so even if he's tracing here, still a fucking phenomenal skill. That's why this guy is the king of cameo, the dawn of drawing, the god of good art at Super Scoundrel. Check him out. They were at the wedding of a probably other Star Wars fans that are more popular than us, just like everybody. But the Punch It with Chewie Press, I think they are. I think they're now a husband and wife Star Wars fan content creation team. And the dude makes pins they're kind of nice. I don't know how he's not been sued yet by Lucasfilm, but more power to you all that make licensed material and sell it. I definitely give you credit for having the balls to do it, because I would not. It's like our buddies work more or less than them. They formed this new super group. It's Plastic Action, Work More or Less, Black Series. I don't know if Swip Picks is in with them, but the heavy hitters. They call themselves like the Figment 5 or something, but they produced a line of pins, and they're like severed hands of famous pop culture characters. There's an Iron Man or a Spider-Man hand, a Vader hand, but they use like the bootleg workaround, Nick, where it's like instead of Darth Vader, it's like Black Plastic Man. Or not Spider-Man, but like Wall Crawler Boy, stuff like that. So, but yeah, great work from Super Scoundrel. Always a good follow out there on the socials. Him and his boy SW Props. I'm telling you, they're living the dude life out there in LA, going to all the events, all the swanky stuff. One of these days, if I ever make it back to the West Coast, I need to have these two coordinate my weekend. They're also going to have to buy me some
Yeah.
threads because they dress way nicer than I would ever want to or care to. But I would not want to look like a bum around them because, you know, they look like they know what they're doing. So that's who I'm hanging out with if I ever get out there. All right, Super Scoundrel, that's enough. We've blown enough smoke up your ass. We'll see you. We'll see you next week.
Oh, man. Good stuff. But yes, at super_scoundrel, excellent drawing of Miss Bordizzo there. Next up is at Mr. Toy Lord, and he's giving us like a bit of a scene recreation from ESB. You see the Hoth walkers kind of walking through the snow. You got the ATST up front, the AT-AT in the back, and then another ATST there behind it. They're lumbering towards Echo Base on Hoth as the rebels get ready to evacuate the oncoming the Imperial storm. So, I mean, this one was just like straight up awesome. Awesome job posing the walkers. Awesome job incorporating them into the Hoth-like background of the shot. It just really does kind of remind me of the good old ESB days, sitting in my bed as a young kid watching ESB at night before I go to sleep. So, very, very straightforward shot here from at Mr. Toy.
Yeah,
Lord.
I mean, I to me, Nick, it's the chicken walker in the foreground. It just getting the pose on that thing like mid walk. I mean, they struggled to make those things look like they were walking in Empire Strikes Back. If you look in the background, like you can tell, it's probably just a dude with like a clear plate bouncing it up and down in the background. Like, oh, go ahead, film it real quick. No one will see it.
Yeah, so hurry up. This thing can't stay balanced like this.
But they look great, and these are just Bandai model kits. These aren't even like Micro Galaxy Squadron. So you know, Mr. Toy Lord built these and probably weathered them, and it definitely looks Empire correct for sure. Yeah, no, that's even more impressive to know that like he put the work in to build and weather them. So I mean, just excellent stuff here at Mr. MR Toy Lord on Instagram. Oh, here we go. Make sure to give them props. A follow. It was a star. Okay. Next up, well, that Nick and Taylor are going to do the same thing if they ever get married. They're going to do a Star Wars wedding. I can tell. Taylor would love that. Oh my god! I mean, she would definitely let me do. You something think so? Star Wars I think related, she'd be like, "Fuck you, Nick." Like, no way. Nah, she would let me do. Something. We'd be like, "Oh, would you wear the Slave Leia bikini for me on our honeymoon?" I doubt that one. Well, maybe closed doors. I'm not saying down the aisle. Maybe closed doors. Yeah, that would probably get you slapped. Maybe one day. All right. Yeah, maybe one day. We'll see. Next up, we got at Star Wars _Rick here with the awesome shot of our Inquisitor friend. The Inquisitorious. From the Obi-Wan Kenobis. Yes, the Inquisitorious from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And even you have the, what was was it the seventh sister that was that's Trilla. Yeah, Trilla, the second Trilla, sister. Yes, from Jedi Fallen Order. So you get to see all the big players up here. And really like what drew me to this shot was like I think this is one of the first shots that I've seen of all of the Inquisitors together in one shot. They're good looking figures, not gonna lie. I mean, not good looking enough for me to take them out of my boxes. These are all still, I have all these sitting in boxes next to me, and like I said, give me Aja to like just get the fuck out of here. But I couldn't even sell them. Like, I mean, no one's gonna want to buy these fucking things. I mean, I think Black Series outside the hardcore people is kind of like, it's definitely hit its oversaturation moment for a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, Star Wars Rick, Nick, I actually think he's the latest from the community, or they are, to get picked up by like I don't know if it was Gizmodo or IO9 and did like a little feature on him. So it happens. It seems like once or twice a year, someone gets kind of picked on to get featured in these online geek mags. I mean, hell, it even happened to yours truly a few years back. I mean, I was back in the day when Hasbro would tap us they'd give us a theme and we'd produce. And if they liked it, they'd actually take it on the con circuit for the summer and show it off at their booth. I remember because one of your shots was featured at this celebration. Oh yeah, I had a couple made it. Yeah, it's like work more. A few of us got in there, and that. Hey, listen, that I love that shit. I mean, I try to tell Charlie like I like winning anything, and to me that's winning. Like, hey, I was picked to be in something. I'm trying to it's hard, man. Like, I took her to soccer for the first time last Saturday. Not forcing her. There's all stuff she wants to try. So I'm not one of those dads. Let's get that out of the way. But I do struggle with the fact that I do not see the same kind of killer mentality, win at all costs. Yeah, just that competitive nature. Like, she just doesn't have it. It's like, it bums me out, but it's like, what am I going to do? You fucking scream at her when she comes off the field like a psycho parent? Like, what are you doing? It's tough for me, though, because I just, and it's this is why all humans, we all fail, because we all try to make everyone like us, and that's just not how things work. It's not how your kids are going to work. That's not how your spouse is going to work, your friends. Like, they are their own fucking people. But it's hard as a parent because you're like, well, I wasn't this way when I was 7. I was winning fucking baseball championships on, teams that had kids 3 or 4 years older than me because I was good when I was little. Like, why is she not like me? Well, guess what, Matt? She's not you. Okay? So I'll get there.
She's just got to find the right thing. Because that's what happens with a lot of people. It's like, you try like baseball, football, soccer, whatever, and then hey, maybe your thing that you're super competitive about is chess. Maybe it's
you're not
else.
Wrong, but I'm talking about me in particular. Anything I do, Nick, I want to be as good as I possibly can. Like, I want to win or I want to stand out. Like, I want people. I am someone that thrives when people say, "Good for you, Matt." As simple as that sounds. Maybe I probably didn't get it enough from my parents, from my dad especially. But I still model my life on things that are going to have people say, hey, good for you. Wow, you look like you're working out or losing weight. I like that fucking positive feedback. So, and I always have. And it's not like my parents built that into me. That's just who I am. I've always wanted to win. I always want to be the best. And I want to hear someone say, you know what, Matt, you're fucking great. That's it. And I think that's kind of was that's good. What drove me in sports. Like, nothing better than be like, God damn, that kid can hit. He's the best hitter on the team. He's on the All-Star. Like, that shit fucking pumped me up. And that motivated me to not pick daisies in left field at practice back in the day. But my kid may be a daisy picker. I'm like, no.
She's gonna find the right thing. Boy. She'll find her passion in something.
Look at Kung Fu trying to give me positive reinforcement about Swago. Great crate score last time, 6 million. Impressive. Thanks, pal. That's not. I don't know if that's enough.
There you go. That's how you keep him playing the game.
Yeah. He's doing
feedback.
That's why Kung Fu's smart. Like that. That's a wit right there. Like he just picked up on what he was saying. He said, "Hey, good for you, pal." Pat on the back. Thanks, buddy. I love Swago now. All right, Nick, moving on from Star Wars Rick. Sorry.
There we go. And the last person here in the top 5 for this week is at Luke_photography walker. Right. And honestly, I went down our feed and I was like, I thought I had my top 5 figured out. I was like, all right, I got my 5. I scrolled down a little further and I saw this shot and I was like, I got to change it now. I got to put this in.
I mean, so when are you going to see the Doctor and Ponda doing their thing, right?
Exactly. So what we see is Dr. Cornelius Ezavan and Ponda Baba. So for those of you who don't know names of obscure Star Wars characters, these are the 2 guys that were fucking with Luke in the Mos Eisley Cantina at the beginning of episode 4. And what you get to see is the Doctor himself in the middle of a procedure on what looks like some sort of Zuckus-like creature.
Well, here's what it is. It's I think that's Forlom's head, and then it's on a body that has, I'd say, like a Han Solo jacket, but then it's got like an alien hand. So the Doctor is truly in, as Nick is saying, and it's like they're grafting a protocol or a bounty hunter droid head onto an organic body.
Yeah, it's such a weird it's such a weird shot, and then you can see it's crazy, the interior, the diode that Luke photography walker put this in is so crazy. You got the bed, it looks like you got one of the members of the modal nodes there in the background, in this
surgery music, a little music to make the surgery go by.
Exactly. And then just the way that Ponda Baba at his feet is positioned and looking up towards the dock.
Hold him down, Ponda. We can't have him squirming here.
This is why he's wanted in 12 systems for these experiments that he's been doing on unwilling creatures like this. I just thought it was like a super creative shot. Like I've never seen something like this from the toy photography community, and it's really
they're not really figures that would be the star subjects. You know, they're usually relegated to background fodder or whatnot. But exactly. And I felt the same way when I saw it throughout the week. I was like, you know what, Luke, you're getting featured because this is just different. Like you went out on a limb here to celebrate the Doc and Ponda. Two Star Wars randos that most of the fandom will know because of that infamous scene in the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah, exactly. He's wanted in 12 systems. Now we know why.
He doesn't like you.
I love that.
I don't like you either.
That's
where Luke should just be like, I don't give a fuck, and just headbutt him. Like, all right, let's go, bitch.
Like, what the fuck is your problem, old guy? Push him over the bar.
That's where, like, if Luke knew who his dad was at that point in time, he definitely would have, like, done Anakin Skywalker Tusken Raider murder. He just would be like, oh, fucking kill everyone in the bar. I'm Anakin's son.
Worry. Obi-Wan came in and did that anyway. Cut this fuking guy's
arms
he used
Nick. He used his one lightsaber that did not solderize flesh.
Yeah, it just cut and there was blood everywhere.
He didn't quite have his kyber crystal tuned properly for the head.
Yeah. It was a little bit lower than the full cut and cauterized setting.
Somehow that lightsaber cauterized the fuck out of shit back in the prequel era, but once he got the OT, no, not on Ponda's arm.
The battery was low. He forgot to charge it. The battery was low.
The extended scene would have been Obi-Wan looking at it and batting on it like a flashlight, like and hitting it like, oh, there we go. That's the full blade. Sorry, pal. I can cauterize it now.
Yeah, it's like
it's
like, here, let me fix that for you.
And Ponda's like, oh boy. All right. Well, I guess it's time to go home.
That is the end of the top 5, which means that's the end of our show. There wasn't a lot to talk about, but we got some Doomcock talk in. We got some talk about the Essence Festival in New Orleans, where we may get some new Ahsoka stuff. So, Matt,
let's do it.
Why don't you go ahead and close out this show? All right,
man. Boy, what a fuck, man. That you know what? These past 2 weeks, I'm like, really, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Should we even do a show? And you know what? I had a fucking good time. That's why I know it doesn't matter what's out there. If Nick and I get on the camera, I'll say something stupid that he's going to latch onto, and he'll like make it sound smart. And here we are, almost 2.5 hours later with only 2 Star Wars topics, but fuck it. Good times had by all, at least those that don't get upset with stupid shit that doesn't affect their lives. Those types have probably canceled us, and that's quite all right. But as Nick said, it is time to put episode 267 to bed. So as we do, let's do our little ditty on dance on over to StarWarsTime.net. If you're new here, that's where you can find our, really all our socials. But who gives a shit about that stuff? We want you to latch into the podcast networks we're on, so just hit subscribe to podcasts. Once you're there, please leave a rating or review if it allows you. And you lazy assholes that have been there for many months, many years at this point, please do it right now when you're hearing me. Listen, it's going to take 30 seconds, but it's going to mean the world to Nick and I, right? Come on, help us out. Ratings and reviews. If you're on the YouTube, you know what to do there. Comment, clip this shit, get me in trouble. Fuck it. Let's go. Generate some views on your own channel. Leave a comment. Leave a review. Turn on notifications. But all you need to know, in case you forget any of these directives, is StarWarsTime.net. That's where we are. That's where you find all the good stuff. And that's where you will learn that there's always time for Star Wars time. All right, my friends, if all goes well, tomorrow night about this time, we'll be wrapping Chapter 2 of Scoundrels of the New Republic, so stay tuned for announcements on that release. There's a good chance it may come out next week if we decide to scrub a show, or in August when I'm away for my other vacation. But just stay tuned. I think one of our best platforms to stay in the know, incommunicado, not excommunicado, is probably the Instagram. But we got that Discord too. Best part about that, just go to Instagram for Discord and come play. All right? All right, people. There's always time for Star Wars time, as we like to sing. I'm just delaying things to find the buttons I need. All right, people. It's been real. Always a good time. Just keep tuned into the socials for next week and how we're going to shake that out. I'll probably have something out by Monday. So fret not. You'll get something from the SWTS next week. Just not promising this glorious 2 hours of nonsense we just gave you. Okay? As you leave, tell your friends, your kids, your wife, your pets, that if they listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with them always.